Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Bella, and today we're going to be doing an energy reading and distant Reiki session in honor of Samhain, or Halloween, on October 31st, which is coming up here in a few days. So this is the spookiest time of year, and it's my favorite time of year, so I'm really excited for this session today. The energies surrounding this time are very transformative, mysterious, transitional, dark. It's a time that we celebrate the dead and those who've crossed over. The veil is the thinnest between this world and the astral right now, so it's a great time to commune with departed loved ones, and it's also a great time for magic and divination. Halloween and Samhain is a time of harvest. It's time for celebration, rest, reflection, mourning. It's a time for endings and honoring our experiences, celebrating the harvest, releasing, and then rest before we move into the next phase of the year, which is winter. So I'm going to be doing an oracle and tarot pull at the end of this session like I usually do. So make sure you stay tuned in if you want to catch that. If you like these videos and you want to leave me a donation or a tip, you can do so at paypal.me/BellaImelda or Cash App BellaImelda. And like always, these are deeply appreciated with love and gratitude. Thank you guys so much. So before I begin sending Reiki and doing the healing, I'm going to cast a circle of protection and do a quick clearing, so we're only allowing and interacting with positive energies to keep the session and to keep the space pure. So go ahead and get some ice water or tea, light some incense, or get some sage burning. If you have any crystals that you want to work with today, meditate with, anything like that, go ahead, get those, get situated, get comfortable, and then just sit back and relax. And just be open to receive. You don't have to do anything except just listen to my words and feel the energy. Okay. So I'm now casting a bubble of white protective light all around us. This protective bubble is to seal out all negative energies and encase us in a protective shield to block out any negative unseen forces. This body is of the light. Only the light may be here. All else must go. I like to call in my guides to join us today, any higher galactic counterparts, my higher self, and the higher selves of those participating today in this healing. I call in our past, future, parallel selves, as well as the ancestors, especially this time of year, and any deceased loved ones who wish to be here today. We call in the angels, archangels, and ascended masters to watch over and assist in this healing with love. Please deliver any messages that need to come through today. I release any blockages that are holding me back from my happiness or my development. I choose to cleanse myself and release any and all negative thought forms, outdated contracts, or lingering negative energies that may be present, which are no longer serving us for the highest good. All negative energies, unseen influences, or thought forms must go in love. We wish you love, and we open up a pathway of light for all those who wish to enter, so you may be guided back home to the light. And call upon the Creator, Source, or higher selves in the angelic realms to assist in protecting all those involved in this healing and energy reading today. Please surround our homes in love and light. Please disallow any negative, unseen forces entry. Provide us with protection, create a space of love and healing, and surround us with an armor of light. May we be fully supported in all that we do as we do the work of the light. Please allow today the highest potential healing to be received by all who are open to it in the highest form of love and light possible. I choose to remember and experience and know that I am sovereign, I am free, I am unity, I am love. And so it is. So please take 2 deep breaths with me. Just close your eyes and relax. I'm going to tap in now and connect and begin sending the Reiki to all those who are open to receive. You should feel the energy beginning to flow and connection being made. And this will be so as many times as you listen to this video in the future. You'll always receive the benefits of the Reiki healing as many times as you listen to these videos, because the energy works through space and time, through intention. So I'm tapping into the cosmic energies, and I'm acting as a channel or a conduit to hold space and facilitate the Reiki healing. I pull the energy in through the top of the crown, and then it comes down into my heart. I've been attuned to send distant Reiki, so then the energy flows out of my palms, and then I use the Reiki symbols to direct the energy to all those participating. If you have any physical aches or pains, this will benefit you, but mostly I like to focus on emotional issues people are having. Energetic blockages caused by our 3D life. These things kind of build up. They create areas in our body where we hold the trauma, or we hold the stress or tension. So the Reiki is really meant to flow through, break up some of these blockages, and kind of a little bit of a reset, etheric Drano. That is my hope with this session today. I am going to light some sage. Have a little sage cocktail going today. I have some mugwort, sage, burning some juniper, and some desert sage. What is this other stuff? Pine smudge, desert magic sage is the other one, and I have my spell candle going. Again, like I did last time. And once again, I'm enjoying some pumpkin coffee today to get into the Samhain spirit. So as I send this energy, I wanted to talk about Samhain a little in this time of year, and bring up some of the imagery and the messages that have been coming through right now for me, for everyone, like I usually do. So Samhain, or Halloween, is the third and final harvest of the season. We're seeing the shift in energies in the atmosphere all around us as we begin to move into the hibernating stage of the year and embracing winter in a few months' time. So right now is a really good time to prepare for winter and the harvesting of food and just storing of energy for the winter time. We're seeing this time of transition. We're experiencing death in the physical and emotional, letting go, releasing, as well as this renewal and transformation energy. It's sort of the death and rebirth phase of the year. It's also a time of forgiveness and cyclical retrospection. So taking a look back at the year and seeing what we've had to let go of and how we're dealing with that. Checking in with ourselves, being honest with ourselves about things we need to weed out of our lives. We're witnessing the waning of light and the celebration of what's been harvested. All that we've done this year, it's almost 11 months into the year, taking stock of all you've accomplished, all of the things you've been through. And then it's a really great time to honor the dead and work with our ancestors, ancestral magic. Very magical time of year. So we just experienced a full moon in Aries on the 20th of October. So that brought up a lot of heated emotions. There's been movement within the masculine, I feel, like a lot of, and not just the masculine within everyone. So a lot of anger, confrontation, coming up to the surface, hot-headed emotions. But that full moon in Aries that we just had 8 days ago also allowed for a little bit of healing and hope and renewal through that, through the release of old bonds, a new energy of protection and momentum and preparation for the future comes in. That's the light side of Aries. It's the energy that we're springing off of as Mars is moving into Scorpio the day before Halloween on the 30th, which is coming up in 2 days. So, meanwhile, the sun is currently in Scorpio. But Mars in Scorpio brings the masculine in particular through a deep death and rebirth process that just so happens to align perfectly with Samhain. And again, it's the masculine within all of us. So that's about having to surrender and stop fighting. Just surrender, embrace, stop resisting and holding on to resistance energy. Just letting it all go and realizing that we no longer need to fight. Trusting in the universe and that God or the universe, whoever you feel a connection with, that they've got us, If we feel like there's something we still need to be fighting against, then that thing we're fighting for may no longer really be serving us because it's creating opposition. So those things that are just driving everybody a little crazy, maybe just surrendering to them a little bit, tabling them so that they don't drive you totally crazy, and focus on, cultivating more things that bring you joy at this time. So as far as retrograde season finally ending, on the 6th, Pluto went direct. On the 10th of October, Saturn went direct. Then on the 18th, Jupiter and Mercury went direct. Then we had the full moon in Aries on the 20th. A few days ago on 10/22, we transited into Scorpio season. And that is adding a darker feel to everything around us as we leave the balanced and supportive Libra and we move into the more mysterious and shadowy energy of Scorpio. And we see this energy reflected even in the scenery and the aesthetic around us. So then on 10/30, again, we have Mars entering Scorpio. And I feel by the end of the month, those who felt like they've been stalled or hung up in some way are actually going to begin to shift and see some gain in momentum forward. I feel there's going to be progress, mostly with our sense of clarity and just becoming amplified. And we're not going to have that feeling of like we're being held back, we're being trapped, we're being kept back. It's going to be more inspired movement and flow forward, finally. So this time of year in particular is a really special time for intention setting and white magic. Black magic too, but we don't do that here. White magic is all about pure intention. It's never a violation of free will. That's the most important thing. You need to be ready to receive the energy back that you send out threefold. And if the energy you're working with is questionable, don't do it. Don't partake in those type of rituals. We only want to be working with white manifestation love magic. So rituals to call in blessings or good fortune or good harvest, good luck, to call in love. These things are all great to tune into this time of year with the veil being so thin. Just never ever use magic to take away someone's free will or harm another living creature. So I do feel, though, that we need to stop feeling the negative beliefs around Halloween, that it's satanic or has this power over people. The more we feed that fire of evil and dark and turn away, and the more it exists and the more it takes away from the actual nature magic of this time. There's nothing inherently evil about Samhain or nature or death. So we can just try to release that stigma and the fear surrounding it and just take the time to embrace your inner child instead. Celebrate, dress up, and play in the magic that this day holds in the air. It's the time of year we're seeing the leaves dying, turning beautiful shades of orange and red before falling to the ground and withering up to brown. We're all transitioning. We're moving from bountiful summer to harvest autumn and embracing the winter that's soon approaching. And it's giving thanks and honoring what we've achieved, but also letting go of things that are no longer serving us. So again, I'm on the East Coast of the United States, so I know this isn't going to reflect with everyone around the world, but the energies are the same. It's the cycle of death, honoring and letting go to make room for the new. We're in the part of the wheel of the year where it's this spooky death phase, but that's also a really great time to give thanks and honor the dead. Try to look for the good in it, as difficult as that may seem. It's a time for release, to minimalize and make room for yourself. Winter to me is always about hibernation, healing, introspection, and rest. So this death season we're in right now is really about letting go and honoring. And it's making this great preparation before we move into the winter energy. And it's the time to start moving the party indoors. As it gets colder, darker, we can say thanks. It can be a really sad time of year. We have to let go and transform. But it's a great time to honor the loved ones and what has been harvested or lost. So we give our gratitude. It's sad seeing the leaves die and fade, but we know it's all part of the cycle. And before we know it, we're going to see those little buds begin again on the trees. We're at the end of the final death, and we're moving into the energies of darker winter and hibernation. So it's a time to grieve for what was and for what never was and for our failures. But it's also the time to honor our successes and our bounty. This means we have to feel, but feeling and acknowledging it will move the energy and release it. Whatever it is we're going through, if we're feeling sad, if we're feeling regretful, feel that fully and honor it, and it will help move the energy. And that's why Halloween is in the spooky season. There's a lot of death and transformation in nature, but that's also reflected within ourselves. Because the veil is so thin, we're having more paranormal experiences. We're seeing things out of the corner of our eye, we're hearing things, what's going on, who's coming in and out. The landscape reflects this energy too, and it's just like you can feel it in the air. There's something about Halloween Day where you can feel its magical, ominous energy. It's just always so potent. I always have dreams that it's Halloween Day. It's super bizarre. But kids, they get so excited to dress up and go trick-or-treating. And I think it's really important, no matter what the state of the world may appear to be, that we don't withhold this small piece of joy for the children. It's such a fun time to get creative, costume, and just to become someone else for a night. The tradition of dressing up, that goes back hundreds of years, where people would dress up as a way to confuse and hide from wandering spirits. I just love that. But costumes let you sort of take on a new persona for a night, whether you're a kid or an adult. And it lets you embody that energy. It's interesting to think about who you dress up as, what you can learn or gain from that perspective. It's like gaining spiritual insight from a dramatic change of persona. And it's just really interesting to dive into. If you're going through stuff, taking this like reset moment, embodying someone else's energy for the night, seeing things from their perspective. And I always get little nuggets. I always see things in a different way. It's kind of just like, take the weight off yourself for a night, be somebody else for a day. It's kind of fun. And then trick-or-treating, that's all about mischief and play and honoring the inner child. And this year for me is nostalgic. And as we move into Thanksgiving, Yule, this nostalgia, this honoring the past. And then just the creepy imagery of children walking down leaf-filled sidewalks on Halloween Day with the twiggy, leafless trees surrounding them. Halloween releases our restrained wildness. I highly recommend watching some old nostalgic Halloween stuff on YouTube. It's just great. It just brings me so much joy. Old Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, okay? Or putting on those Halloween nostalgia commercial videos on YouTube. I've been listening to spooky Halloween lo-fi to just saying it's a guilty pleasure, but it brings you back to the magic of Halloween when you're a child. And it's the same with like pumpkin carving. And I love the lore surrounding jack-o'-lanterns. So they're said to be carved and set out to light and guide the dead's way. They're also for protection against wandering spirits. And Old Jack, which is where these jack-o'-lanterns originated, he was a blacksmith hundreds of years ago. Long story short, neither heaven nor hell wanted him, so he's forced to roam the earth forever in the astral. He's forever stuck in purgatory with only his lantern to light his way. And so pumpkin carving actually used to be done with turnips back in the day instead of pumpkins, which they used to be so creepy looking. It eventually changed to pumpkins over time because they were more accessible and probably people thought they looked less creepy. The turnip carving is a tradition that I believe came from some of my ancestors over in Ireland. They didn't have pumpkins over there, so once it came over to the States, it was just totally adapted, and we changed to this jack-o'-lantern style. Yeah, okay, so the night before Halloween is Cabbage Night, or Mischief Night, and that's where kids play pranks and smash people's pumpkins. Then, yeah, trick-or-treating on Halloween actually goes back to honor the old ways, where this is where it originated. So trick-or-treating began as a distraction from all the pranking that was done by children around the time, which was becoming so much of a problem that they had to do something. So it's a tradition that we've been able to carry from hundreds of years back, which that's something. So they're basically like, okay, go, door to door asking for candy instead. And it's just interesting to look at how traditions have evolved and changed over time, where they stemmed from the lore for which they originated from. This is very interesting. So, some themes or aesthetics for this time. Some colors that we have to represent this time. The color black. We see this time of year it represents the darker half of the year, which is the shadow self, that which is hidden. Black represents grief and mourning, the impending winter, night, and protection from evil. We also have gray, which is neutrality, rest, silence, surrender, foggy mist and storms, and the veil. Silver represents the goddess, the inner self, mirrors, the moon, shadow work, and transformations. And then orange, browns, yellows represents delights, the hearth, inner warmth, the home, appreciation of transformations, decay, and then ancestors, nature. And then some other, I just really like, in case you haven't been able to tell, the aesthetic of this time. The imagery, the energy, the spookiness, without it being dark, satanic, just honoring the shadow self, embodying, because we all have this dualistic aspect to us. So some imagery, we have the graveyard. And there's a graveyard en route to my parents' house that I always drive by. And, just the maple leaves that have all fallen into the graveyard. It's beautiful. But I was driving by the other day and I swear I saw someone standing wearing blue and white, just standing there as I was driving by, and I was trying to watch the road, but I kept looking back like, what am I seeing? I always think I see someone or feel people around me in graveyards. Very spooky. And then we have the cauldron, which I'm burning my sage in right now. This is a representation of descending into the underworld, and emerging, changed, and transformed. Also represents alchemy, spell work, the melting pot, and manifestations. We have skeletons. I actually have a full body skeleton hanging up on my front porch that my dad put up. This represents strength and foundation within us. And then the black cat. I think it was just Black Cat Day or something the other day. Black cats are associated with witches. There's superstitions told of magic workers who can shapeshift into cats, or some people take them as spirit familiars. And And then the idea of midnight on Halloween. Okay, there's something about midnight on entering onto Halloween that holds a special type of frequency and special type of magic. So a lot of people time their spellcasting divination to this time because it creates this interesting natural portal energy connecting the two worlds. And it's just the moment of the year where it's easiest to connect into the astral. But, we want to make sure we do clearings and protection before we play with that type of energy or, work with portals or work with the dead or anything like that. We always want to burn sage, say a prayer, do a protection, do a clearing. But, once we do that, we put our armor on and then we can kind of play with this energy. There's also witches and vampires, ghouls, zombies, werewolves. Pretty sure last year Halloween was on a full moon, which was really cool. And then flickery lanterns, ghosts, haunted houses, and then the hearth, which represents this protection through the winter time. The fire altar, comfort, happiness, it heats our homes. And then the dawn, the morning after Halloween, also has the same interesting energy as the night before. So it feels like this weird calm after the storm energy, kind of like the tornado has passed through. Then we've got bats, brooms, creepy corn stalks, headless horsemen, all great decorations to feel into, to just honor this time. Because So, some herbs to work with. Okay, so based on the energies that I was just talking about, there are certain herbs, and I have to give credit to Bridget Nielsen's podcast for some of these. She's a great podcast about Samhain. Her podcast is called Wild and Awake. Highly recommend you go check out that episode. They talk about the origins of Samhain. Very interesting. So they were talking about some herbs to work with, and so this time there's a lot of grief, with this death transition. So using lavender as a support for that to provide comfort for grief. And then as I'm burning right now, which I'm going to light a little bit more, mugwort for psychic divination, also for healing and gaining insight through meditation. Mugwort really helps tap us into the etheric, to the astral. And then another great herb they mentioned was vervain. So vervain is typically known to provide protection against vampires. But this is also great protection against evil spirits and black witches and ghouls. Herbs to put at your door for protection. Yarrow. Now yarrow was a favorite of theirs they mentioned. I've never really worked with yarrow, so I'm going to feel into that. But they specified yarrow for more mountain areas. This, placing it by the door, in our doorway for protection, any of these, will heighten courage with yarrow, endurance. People use it during exorcisms. It's really to cast out the evil. It helps heal emotional issues and is also used with wish making. Rosemary, which I love to cook with, but this is very healing. It stimulates mental capacity, assists in memory. Again, vervain at the door, garlic, that goes way back to vampire lore, and then always sage for healing, purification, spirituality. The herb hemlock. Now this is highly poisonous, but we are honoring the dark of this time of year, the shadow self. Working herb hemlock, that works more with the astral projection, the veil, wisdom. But just be careful if you have children, animals. This is a highly poisonous herb. And then gemstones. If you like working with crystals, stones, and magic, this is a great time of year for that. This is one of the best times of year for spell casting, divination. So working with moonstone, this is for balance, divination, feminine influence, the goddess, healing, hidden knowledge and insight. And then obsidian is another great one. It's that solid black crystal. This is really great for protection, wards off evil, depth, divination, grounding, clearing, protection. And then we have carnelian, healing, peace, protection, and sexuality. Sex magic, this time of year. And then jet, which is protection from nightmares and absorption. And I'm also seeing, again, like I talked about, I think in my last video from Abon, this idea of just mushrooms. They're popping up everywhere, all over the lawns. And I'm seeing a lot of imagery around the fae and elemental energy coming through right now. I don't know if anyone else is having, fairy imagery and those themes coming up. But I went for a walk the other day with my dog and just walked by this random house, and they had a perfect fairy ring of mushrooms in their front lawn. And it was just really caught me off guard to see that. There's lore surrounding the fae, the fairy rings, that you enter the fairy ring and it's kind of like a portal into a different dimension and you can't always get back. The fae can be tricky, but they're also very pure, sweet, fun spirits to work with. It was just strange as I walked by, the energy coming off of this yard. I could feel it, and there were two people outside and they were joking and laughing. They had music blaring, and it's just not for nothing, Okay. So I want to keep talking about some of this Samhain lore. I just find the history fascinating. I find very fun to honor this time of year, to do activities, to just lean into this energy. This is the easiest time of year for me to honor this energy. I feel super aligned with it. So some of the things that are coming up for me, activities, way to honor this time, way to morph our life so that we flow with this energy and we work with the energies of darkness, release, healing, those type of energies, as opposed to opposing, working with the flow of nature. This is just what I like to do, how I align my life. And so, why I do these videos is kind of just take the temperature of the energy, of nature, of the collective, and kind of try to put it into words for you guys. And hopefully these help, but I don't know. So right now is a really good time for house cleansing. This can be physical cleaning, decluttering. It's a great time to go through and smudge yourself and your house, and then spraying holy water or salt water, plasma water, water that you've prayed over and sent loving intention to. Spray that through the house after you've saged, after you've cleaned it out. You will feel a difference in the energy. And now, especially with the veil being so thin and we have a lot of people or energies crossing in and out of this plane, we could be having, we don't know what, coming through the house like a bus station. So we want to make sure we're smudging, we're saging, we're doing clearings, protections, those type of things. Especially if you're working with magic and divination, we just want to make sure we stay clear. We don't let any of these darker energies muddle us at all. Also smudging with juniper, which I have some juniper broken up in my little smudge pot that I'm working with today. So this is actually, burning juniper is actually a Celtic tradition that dates back hundreds of years. Juniper is said to clear negative energy, but also it draws in positive energy and creates a safe, protective, positive healing space. So I feel like this little brouhaha bowl I have going here, it really just has it all today. Got my mugwort, my sage. So also, back to the graveyard. This is a good time to, these are actually traditions that they, our ancestors did for hundreds of years. They would go to a graveyard and tidy it up and honor the dead. They, leave a simple offering and pray to your ancestors, food, whatever, flowers. Go there and, some gravestones that are just knocked over and disheveled and people left trash, just go in there and honor the dead, honor the people that paved the way for us. Go in there, clean up a little bit, Another activity, I just found this one, I thought was really cool. if you're going to be handing out candy, trick-or-treating, make your own little fortunes and fold them up and hand them out with the candy. I thought that was really cool. So make these little fortunes, just say all like positive, magical little anecdotes for the kids. Put little gems of wisdom in there too, and hand them out with the candy. Dress up as like a fortune teller or a witch or something. It just makes it magical for the kids. It just really makes it special. Okay, so another great way to honor this time is connecting with older people and chatting with them about how they've spent Halloween and their traditions. That is fascinating to think about. What if you know someone who was alive in like the 30s, how did they spend Halloween versus how we spent Halloween? And just sort of honoring tradition, talking to these old people, getting their wisdom before they transition, keeping the gems, the nuggets of wisdom. What did they, like, looking back 80 years, what did they remember about Halloween as a child? I find that fascinating, just brings it full circle. But again, going back to the whole shadow work and working with the darker energies, this is a really great time to do shadow work because it's naturally a mourning, releasing phase of life. It's just a time, if we want to work with these energies, if we want to step into this, if we feel ready, it's a great time to face and confront our shadow aspects, to just feel everything and then be done with it. Doing the shadow work, diving into the darkness within all of us to pull the light out of you. We have to face our darkness and integrate it. So the veil, again, between living and the dead is the thinnest. We can probably, if you're sensitive, feel spirits around us, right now, and that could be good or bad. But that's why there's such mixed energy in the air. And we have this dichotomy of, oh, it's satanic and this like dark, people turning away, but then also this playful, magical, nostalgic, joyous energy. It's just very interesting. It's sort of the idea of finding the light in the dark always, carrying your jack-o'-lantern. But it's a really good time for divination and scrying, working with the crystal ball, tea leaves, any sort of divination, tarot, pendulum. Again, make sure you do clearings first. But it's also this time of year, unfortunately, the dark ones are using this portal and these energies for black magic. So that's why we can feel this darkness in the air around us this time of year. But we just have to keep our focus clear from it and not sink into the crippling fear and the anxiety side of it. A lot of people like to watch scary movies, and fear kind of brings up emotions in us. And some people hate it, but some people enjoy it, But it's just making sure we don't slip into the actual fear that holds us. It's different watching a scary movie and feeling fear, and it's like pulling the light out of fear. It's very interesting. It's very, like minute and subtle energies. So the reason that it's such a great time for magic, spellcasting, divination, again, the veil is thin, but we're in this transition time where the energy feels spooky and changeable, So it's like almost like a portal energy, because we're moving from summer into winter, and we have this little blip of time where it's like we can tap into that. It's like peering through the veil, performing magic, connecting with the dead, having our questions answered, having the wisdom and intuition flow through us. And so in connection with divination, there's a lot of magic around apple lore, which again I mentioned in my last video. A lot of the ancient pagans worshipped the sacred apple. Again, like I said in my last video, when you slice it a certain way and then you look at it, the seeds make the shape of a pentagram. So it's why it's so revered this time of year. Obviously, the apples are being harvested right now, but there's a lot of lore again that goes back to apples. So they say when bobbing for apples, which that is a tradition that goes back hundreds of years, which is really funny. So they say the first person to get an apple in bobbing for apples will be the next to marry. There's a ton of other lore in this really great book that I just read. It's called The Book of Halloween by Ruthie Kelly. And this book is from like 1919 or something. It's very old, but I highly recommend that book to anyone who loves Halloween or Samhain. Just to go out and get and read that book on a rainy Halloween day. There's some poetry in there, some old little lore and anecdotes, and just interesting history of where the holiday, originated from. Highly recommend that book. It was cute. It's a quick read too. So I do have a couple Halloween spells I wanted to share with you guys. I have two really super quick, easy ones that you can do. I just wanted to share because the pagans, Samhain, this was sort of a new year to them, which makes sense that the new year would begin when everything's sort of dying off, So the first one, you're going to hollow out a pumpkin. You're going to slice off the top and keep that as a lid like you do. And then as you're carving out this pumpkin and doing this, you're going to think about how bright and happy you wish your new year to be, Just infuse yourself in that happy energy as you're working away at the pumpkin. And then cut a happy face shape into the pumpkin to embody and hold that energy within the jack-o'-lantern. Then you're going to light a candle and put it inside, put the lid on, and then you're going to cut into the lid 12 large holes, if you can. Or they can be small holes, really. Just prick them in there, if you can get a little circular tool and pop 12 in there to represent each month of the year. So the light will be cascading through the top of the lid. And this is just simple, easy, symbolic little energy practice. Nothing too crazy. So then the other one, you're going to light 7 candles, and if you can, have them the colors red through violet to represent the spectrum. If not, they can all be white, but just set the intention that they represent each of the colors in the spectrum. So you're going to bathe in the light of these 7 candles that are representing this spectrum, and it's going to attract every form of good fortune, into your life. So, like those candles, take a minute to meditate, set your intention, what you want to call in. Maybe focus on each individual candle, honoring calling in. The red would represent the root chakra, which obviously is like safety, security, the self, the basic needs are met, all the way up through to the crown chakra. I talk about these chakras in my other videos if you're interested. But yeah, so then you're going to dress in your finest clothes and accessories, including something new, something nice and new, maybe a piece of jewelry or something. Do not undress until after midnight to finalize the spell. Okay, so then lastly, I just wanted to read you this little poem that I got from that book of Halloween that I just mentioned. I just thought this was really cool. Okay. So the poem goes like this. The melancholy days are come, the saddest of the year, of wailing winds and naked woods and meadows brown and sere. Heaped in the hollows of the grove, the withered leaves lie dead. They rustle to the eddying gust and to the rabbit's tread. The robin and the wren are flown, and from the shrub the jay, and from the wood-top calls the crow through all the gloomy day. So that's called Death of the Flowers by Bryant. I just thought that was so beautiful. Okay, so now let's do some oracle pulls. I had a few general questions I wanted to pose about the energies and what we expect coming, kind of like what I did in my last video. So, let's see here. My first question is, what is the theme of the energies from now until Yule, which is Christmas? And that's about 2 months from now. So the next energy of the two months coming. I'm going to pull first from my Black Moon astrology deck. I'm going to do what I did last time, pull 5 cards. I'm trying to get a little story of the energy right now. So again, what is the theme of the energies from now until Yule? And this is for the collective, but this is also for, in particular, the folks listening to this video. Okay, so I pulled 5. We'll see what kind of little story we have. This is what to expect. So I pulled the Moon, which represents the soul. I pulled Mars, which I think I pulled that last time, which is force. We also have the 12th house, which is escape, and the air element, communicating. And then Gemini, which is I think. So interesting enough, Gemini is an air sign, thinking, communicating, so that I kind of pull those two together. And then we have Mars, which is about taking action. This also is representative of the masculine, which I was mentioning in the first portion of this video, how a lot of the alignments coming up, Mars moving into Scorpio is going to pull things up from the masculine. We have the 12th house, which is all about the spiritual. It's the house that rules Pisces. The Moon is also a watery, emotional sign. So again, I feel like we're going to have some questionable frustration energies coming up within us, but it's all about integrating that, honoring our emotions, honoring what these mean to us, and going through this sort of healing moment where we can stop denying our emotions and what we're feeling and going through, and trying to honor them more and love ourselves through that. And then this air element in communication with Gemini, the air signs are a lot about thought and, philosophical ideas. So trying to remove yourself from the emotion and look at it as an outsider. And maybe that will help pull some of that Mars frustration, chaotic energy into a healthier place where we can process. But I do feel this is a very, with the 12th house, with pulling the Moon card, this is a very spooky, cosmic, flowing, energetic time. So I think the more healing we can do now, the better off we're going to be moving into these next 2 months. The more triggers we can sort of try to tame, that kind of thing, the easier it's going to be when more chaotic things begin happening for us down the road. The climate of the globe right now is just a little crazy, just a lot going on. So the more of our own crap that we can heal and weed out, the better prepared we're going to be to handle whatever's coming next. And then, what do we need to work on letting go of? That was something I wanted to feel into. So I'm going to pull the Osho deck for that, because these cards really keep it real. This is a really good time of letting go, release. It's a time for endings. It's a time for honoring. And again, it's endings, but it's to clear out and make room for what's coming. Experiencing. Oof. And okay, this is so creepy. The picture on the card is this person with a robe on, and they're holding onto a tree, and the leaves are covered in red, orange. It looks like the tree right outside my window, like with the red maple leaves and the oranges. So this is, what do we need to let go of? But the card is called experiencing. So I kind of feel like this goes into, just honoring your own emotions and honoring where we are at as individuals. But I will look and see what this card says. Okay, so an experience is something that can be filed away in a notebook or captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself, the thrill of communication, the gentle touch of our connectedness with all that surrounds us. The person in this card is not just touching this tree, she's in communion with it. She has almost become one with it. It's an old tree and has seen many hard times. Her touch is gentle, reverent, and the white on the inside of her cape reflects the purity of her heart. She's humble, simple, and that is the right way to approach nature. Nature doesn't bang drums when it bursts forth into flower, nor does it play any dirges when the trees let go of their leaves in the fall. But when we approach her in the right spirit, she has many secrets to share. You haven't heard nature whispering to you lately. Now is a good time to give her the opportunity. That's interesting. That goes back to what I was saying before about surrendering and just letting it all fall away so that you can see the authentic you inside, really. So what do we need to let go of? I think we need to let go of everything and just tap in to the nature energy. If you feel like you can't keep going, if you're depressed, if you feel like you're just losing the will to go on, maybe surrendering everything, letting go of expectations, everything, and spending time communing in nature. I always say, if you need to, just go out in your backyard barefoot and connect, ground in. Give the earth back your stress. Just release it and let it return to the earth. What types of blessings can we be expecting? So I'm going to pull 2 cards for this. I'm going to use the Reiki Oracle deck for this, which I love this deck. It's new. I just got it. Let me just pull one more. Okay. I'm going to pull this. Okay. So I pulled the Angel Rasbar and Al-Uza, Star of Venus. So these are blessings that we can expect. Oh, that's weird. I pulled card 26 and 27. Right next to each other. Okay. Interesting. So the Star of Venus. It says, I am the pure light, my son. I am not a handful of worthless dust. I am not just an empty shell. I am a regal pearl formed in this world. Close your eyes to see and become aware of me. Perceive me with eyes that see the unseen. Come into the mystery to find me. I am a carefree visitor here for you. The Star of Venus is a great androgyny, neither solely masculine nor feminine, but integration of both. The power it bestows is mighty and based utterly in love. When the star seeks us out, multiple blessings are bestowed. I said, what types of blessings can we be expecting? Our spiritual growth can be accelerated in ways that may be quite dazzling and surprising to our more limited mindset and belief systems. With great blessings, great growth is possible. However, the blessings don't do the growth for us, making it magically happen. They give us the oomph we need, the power and the opportunities and assistance we need, yet it's still we who take the journey. The great spiritual journey for old souls at this time in Earth's history is the journey from duality to oneness. Many are signing up for that wild, loving adventure. This oracle has come to you as a reminder that you too have been granted a ticket for that journey. This journey of oneness is not about denying duality, but experiencing it as an expression of one love. So that goes in perfect with this time of year, like I was just saying. It's embracing the duality, the positive side of the darkness. It's about no longer being enslaved by it. It's about avoiding what is not wanted in order to pursue what is wanted. It's about embracing the all of finding the freedom and joy originally sought, but now through a path that takes you into joy and freedom existing within. So when we go through these dark nights of the soul, it's not to punish us or for us to suffer. It's for us to be able to identify what it is we do not want, what we no longer want to engage our energy with.
To take the great transformation from man or woman into cosmic androgyny does not require that we lose our sense of femininity or masculinity. Rather, they become so superior in development that they cease to be distinguished from each other. Our masculine clarity, with its discernment, practicality, and application, becomes so tender, loving, compassionate, and tempered with grace — my dog is snoring — that the feminine is integrated with it. Our feminine nurturance, dedication, and connection to life become so fierce that discernment and wise action naturally prevail. With this great androgynous integration of the masculine and feminine into oneness, men and women of this beautiful earth become capable of new consciousness. It is one based in love, of service to life, of letting go of judgment, stereotypes, and limiting belief systems, and of opening up to the compassion for all life. And so I feel this is really about taking the pain and alchemizing it into knowledge and wisdom. And if we can integrate the masculine, feminine within us. So for an example of just like what's coming through for me with this, if you are a masculine energy and you feel you have been violated recently by the feminine, whether a mother wound, a lover wound, or, vice versa, if you're feminine experiencing a wound from the masculine, instead of turning away and having these negative emotions surrounding the opposite gender, then what if we could instead integrate the own opposite sex gender into our energies? So if you're a masculine who's been violated by the feminine, or you feel you've been violated by the feminine, an antidote to that would be going in and honoring the feminine within you, the sensitive within you. And the same for the feminine who have been violated by the masculine. Go in and honor the masculine within you. Go chop some wood. I don't need no man, go out there and embody the masculine that you are seeking. If you've gone through something traumatic, we all hold the opposition within us. We're all capable of doing bad things. We all have the potential within us. So trying to integrate the dark and the shadow instead of just push it and cast it into the corner and like bad. This is how we become whole. This is how we come back to that oneness. Okay, so what else do we have? Okay, so the other card I pulled is the Angel Rasbar. Find her. So, says, "Tell me the truth," I asked love. "What are you?" "I am the everlasting life," love said. "I am the recurring joy of living." So again, this is blessings that we're going to receive in the next 2 months. Divine contribution is offered to those who wish to contribute to the world. The great beloved sees what's in your heart, what it is you wish to offer, and is saying yes. So you're being empowered to serve, to assist, to offer genuine spiritual contributions to this planet, to become a sacred hand at work for the will of heaven. So this is interesting. This is sort of that idea, if you're feeling down and depressed, to go be of service to others. And that will help re-spark the hope in humanity, the joy back in you. It says, "Such is the capacity bestowed upon the soul that is wise and filled with love and therefore desiring to serve. So then, do not doubt yourself, beloved. You've been blessed with this by the Master to find the precious jewel of your own soul and claim it. Cast aside your doubts then. Yet perhaps this is not easy for you to do. Perhaps you look at the world, even your chosen field of endeavor, and already you hear so many voices speaking. You may wonder if your own contribution would simply add noise to the cacophony. You may wonder if you can really help, if you have anything genuine to add, or if there's just too much noise anyway. You may hesitate and become fearful. Do not despair, my beloved. It is part of your divine destiny to add something of great value to the world, something that has its place even amongst all that activity, something needed absolutely in the hearts of all." Okay, so I really resonate with this message because this is about wanting to contribute to the world, but feeling as if you can't find your place, and questioning and not understanding where you should be focusing your energy. You may have this 9-to-5 you hate, but you have this whole soul within you and this mission, and you're feeling like, how can I contribute? Where can I funnel my energy? What I would say to this is go back to your deepest wound And if it's something you haven't fully healed from, or if it is something, go back, retrace your steps through that path, and look at the wisdom that you gained from those experiences. These are the nuggets that people want to hear from you. They want to hear how you went through hell and healing. They want to hear how you hit the basement of rock bottom and were able to come out of it. This is the magic that you can offer the world, is how you were able to alchemize your own spirit. Or even if it isn't a trauma, maybe it's severe accomplishment. Maybe you've done something and you're really proud of it. Taking people down that path with you, down that journey, and letting them into what was going through you, these are the things people want to hear, just from my experience. You know, if you don't feel like you're the expert, you're supposed to be talking about this topic, it's not true, because who knows it better than someone that's been in and out of it? Or if maybe you developed a hobby that got you through this dark night of the soul, share that. You are the subject matter expert on that, because that is what you use to alchemize within you. We've all been what we said is rock bottom, and we all were able to pull ourselves out of it. This is the magic and the wisdom that you should be sharing with others. This is your gift to the world. This is why you're here. Don't let the pain and suffering be for nothing. If you can share the wisdom you gained with others, maybe it might prevent somebody else from doing something they regret, or, you know, going through pain and turmoil that is needless. If there's insight and nuggets you've already pulled from these experiences, share them if you feel called to. The precious gift is the true silence. This true silence is peace, is a living experience of the eternal love of the divine that asks nothing but to be received and gives of itself unconditionally. Yes, giving without expecting to receive anything back. That's important. That silence is present underneath even the most raucous noise, if one knows how to access it. The true silence can only be felt through the beautiful feeling heart. When you know how to feel for it, to surrender into it, you can transmit silence in many ways. Through the peace you cultivate in your heart, in your own daily living, through your presence, through your art, even through your own voice, written, sung, or spoken. Yes, even through sound, if that's your path of service. Silence can emanate through your voice, and divine silence can be felt in the hearts of others. The true and great silence, as you may now realize, my dear angel, is not the absence of sound, it is the experience of the divine presence of love. That's really interesting. I love these cards. It's my dog. She's so cute. Okay, where should I focus my energy? That's the next card. Let's do a little work your light deck for this. Where should I focus my energy? So this kind of jumps off of the last card we pulled. I'm going to pull 5 of these. I'm not going to read the description for all. I'll read the little blurb on the front and just let you guys feel into what you think they mean. Pull 2 more. Completely random. Pulling a lot of cards I've never pulled before. Maybe I have people listening who've never listened before. Okay. These are the cards I pulled. The first one, Dance with Life. Do something to change your energy. Interesting. Then I pulled You're Already Doing It. It says stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. And then Align Your Life. What is not aligned or needs to change. The Crumbling. What are you clinging on to? And the Initiation, which is rite of passage and crossing the threshold. So those are interesting.
Kind of just feeling into what this means.
What are you clinging onto, and what needs to crumble and fall away? There's a rite of passage. We're going through this initiation, this transition, letting all that we're clinging to crumble away, surrender. Once we move through that, we cross into the new, which is, you're already doing it. You're already working towards that. We need to focus on aligning, removing things that are no longer serving us. But then this card, Dance with Life, do something to change your energy. Make sure you're honoring the play and the fun and the goodness within you. You know? Make sure, and it's this perfect time of year with the childlike Samhain playful energies, you know? Like, make sure you're doing something to honor and moving the energy. Because when the energy gets stuck, we feel depressed. That's where we start to feel hopeless. But when we can bring in new energy, exciting energy, you know, meeting new people, trying new things, that's where we find the blessings. I forgot to mention, I'm working with my new yellow, beautiful fluorite obelisk that I just got. And today we are listening to Halloween Night Lo-Fi Jazz Hop Chill Hop. Just want to mention that. And also today is a heart chakra day. It's Thursday. So I really have set the intention before I began this session to infuse this whole session with heart chakra energy. I'm still sending Reiki. I've been sending this whole time. I've still connected with you guys, sending that healing through, but really working with those heart chakra energies during this session, feeling into, I feel there's a lot of people have been wounded lately, and sort of a gash has been taken out of the heart chakra. So I'm sending specifically love, healing, and holding space, calling in new love for those who have recently been through a loss. And I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video, so I just wanted to point that out. I'm also have burning some incense I got from a vampire shop in New Orleans. So that's fun. And I have my 12D plasma pyramid here today that we work with. I use this pyramid to set intention. I believe I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, but I have a plasma organite pyramid that we work with. Or not organite, it's cast in resin with crystals, sacred geometry, and it's filled with balls that have GANs and plasma water inside. So we work with this little being to set intention, and the intention of today's session is to honor those who've crossed over, to honor the things we've lost, and to call in the magical blessings of the Halloween New Year, the Samhain times, and that is the intention of this session today. Feel a lot of mourning energy in the air, a lot of people with grief. So I really just wanted to make clear that we are working with the heart chakra today, sending love, sending healing to align those energies, calling in release, renewal. I'd also like to call in wealth, prosperity, and happiness. Whatever we need to experience and go through for the highest good of all of those participating today. That was just a little side note. Okay, so then let's do an animal totem pull. And then I want to close out with, not close out, I want to do a quick 5-spread Halloween tarot pull, but oracle pull I mean, and then a quick tarot pull. But let's do the animal totem first. Ooh, we got Buffalo Spirit. I'm going to pull 5 again. I'm not going to go in and read them all. I just want to see what sort of energies we get. Coyote Spirit. Panther Spirit. A lot of fierceness. lot of darkness in these animals, too. Eagle spirit. Merca. Okay. So I got a lot of like, mammal, warm-blooded, some predatory, some playing with darker energy spirits. So we have the panther spirit, which is reclaim your power. That's about basically being a fierce bitch and going in there and reclaiming who you are. We have eagle spirit. Spirit has your back. So that's trusting, releasing, surrendering, but also being brave, noble, and standing up for what's right. We have buffalo spirit. The abundant universe will provide. Buffalo and eagle, to me, and even coyote, kind of hone back into the ancestor spirits, especially if you're in the United States. These are all, totem animals of America. I do feel this country is going to be going through a transformation where we're going to need to tap into our grit and courage and fundamental beliefs that we need to honor. The right of freedom, the right of free speech, the right of America. This is what America is all about. Yeah. So then we have the deer spirit, which is bring a gentle touch. So that sweet, innocent, gentle being within you. Because there's also the coyote spirit, trust in divine detours. So we have this sort of dichotomy between the dark coyote, panther, hunting, and then we have the noble eagle and buffalo that represents this, the ancestors, America, our heritage, our bloodlines. But then to top it all off, the most important one, this little deer on the card has these Native American looking feathers on its ear, and remembering through all of that, yes, persevere, be badass, find your power, but also remember to balance that out with a gentle touch. And that also goes back to the other cards I pulled saying we need to balance the divine masculine and feminine within us. That's how each of us heal, that's how each of us thrive and move forward, is balancing out the masculine and feminine within us. The masculine panther coyote against the gentle deer, who's usually, the deer gets eaten by the predator. But honoring that gentle deer's innocence within us that can go through the woods silently, that can be the feminine yin yang, the dichotomy between the two masculine feminine. Everything I'm getting in this reading today is that duality, and it's perfect for Samhain because we're at this dark time of year, but there's also so much joy, so much hope, renewal. And even when we go through the darkest of the dark, 6 months down the road, we're able to look back and say, I kind of see why that happened. So if you're not out of the woods yet, if you can't see why something has happened yet, surrender, have faith in yourself, have faith in the universe, because it will provide you with the answers if you can just trust and release. Stop clutching and let it flow. Alright, so let's look at the Halloween cards. I've been waiting all year to do these, even though I do them pretty much every month. I love these cards. This is sort of where I pulled some of the symbology that I mentioned at the beginning. The archetypes of Halloween and what they mean for us, because they're all representations of what we're going through transforming. Everything in the physical, obviously, is a representation of what we're going through on the inside. Alright, one more. Okay. These are the cards I pulled. My dog. The graveyard. This represents unnecessary fear. So it's kind of that idea when you walk into the graveyard and you get this weird, ominous, creepy vibe, but you're like, no, I know it, you just feel like someone's watching you, or you feel creepy, ooky, dooky, just knowing that a lot of the fear that we project and we hold, it is unnecessary and it is self-generated, because when you walk into a graveyard, they're all dead. They're not going to hurt you, but you still have that unnerving feeling. But again, it's unnecessary. You know you're safe and you know you're the one in control. Next, we have vampire, I pulled, which is emotional intelligence. So I think that's about, knowing when you're being too hard on yourself, knowing when you're not being hard enough on yourself. And vampires, they're very smart. They're usually thousands, hundreds of years old. And they've been around, and they know people, and they know how to play the game. And not that I'm saying don't play the game. I'm not saying that. But knowing how to play the game, and then keeping yourself kind of protected and in that Scorpio mystery, secretive veil to protect yourself. The owl represents wise seeing and wise action. And he's flying over the moon. So again, yeah, it's like detaching, pulling yourself back, being the observer, being in the world but not of it. Watching, taking everything in, not allowing emotion and everything to pull you under, let yourself be succumbed to that. Being the detached observer and having the third person perspective. That always helps me when I'm going through emotional stuff, trying to just detach and look at it from an outsider point of view. And then the last two, we have black cat, which is fortune meets opportunity. I think black cats are actually lucky. Some people say they're a bad omen. And then skull of flowers, which is creating through the ashes. And that's, I think, the most important message. Creating through the ashes. That is what this time of year represents. It's the idea of taking a skull and having it decorated with flowers and colors. And Dios de los Muertos is all about that same idea, honoring the dead and celebrating the dead. Celebrating what's gone because, nothing lasts. As Terence McKenna says, nothing lasts. Everything, and that's the good news, and that's the bad news. The bad news is that nothing lasts, but the good news is that nothing lasts. So everything's temporary. Living your life in a state of movement, transition, surrender, flow, and being able to create through the ashes, because this is a cycle that it's continuous. We're always going to be releasing. We're always going to be experiencing joy and celebrating. And the more we can release and surrender and flow and work with those energies, the easier life and the more pleasant life is going to be. Letting go of the need to control things. Okay, so now I'm going to pull really quick 5-card tarot and just see what comes up. So this is just general for the collective, 5-month basic tarot. These are the energies that we're moving into. The next video I do, I'll try to do a more in-depth tarot, but since this video is getting so long, I wanted to focus this on just getting the basic messages and doing the Reiki and emotional healing. And then I wanted to make sure I talked a lot about Samhain because love it. Okay. Pull a couple more. Okay. Okay. These are the cards I got. 6 of Swords, 10 of Wands, 5 of Cups, King of Pentacles, and Justice. So right away what's jumping out for me is the Justice card being upright. I do feel justice will be served. Whatever wrongs we feel may have been committed against us will be corrected, and we will receive justice from our experiences. King of Pentacles being upright shows me good fortune for the masculine in particular. King of Pentacles is someone that's business savvy, they're in control of their money, their fortune, strong, masculine. Also can be work related, something coming in work-wise for the masculine in particular, or if you are feminine, listening for your masculine counterpart if you have one. So 6 of Swords is, this is about kind of changing transition. Maybe someone's moving. This card also represents the internet. Distance, you know, rite of passage. Like, it's kind of like moving somewhere and starting a new life. That's the energy behind it. Five of Cups is about having something not turn out the way you expected and being a little disappointed about it. But then the Ten of Wands is a burden worth having. For me, that's what this card means. It's kind of like, okay, I know this is what's happening, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So we may have been disappointed by something. We may have felt a burden of it, but what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up changing, and justice will be served, and we will end up being financially better off, more secure in the end. That is the basic theme of these next 2 months. So if you've recently been disappointed, know that it is a burden worth having. It is something that's going to change. You may need to step out of your comfort zone and change things. You may need to move location, get a new job, get a new partner, get a new home, something like that. But in the end, all of the wrongs that have been imposed against you will end up being corrected, and the masculine in particular will end up coming out on top. That's what I see for that. Okay. Lastly, I have one more poem I wanted to share from the Book of Halloween. I really liked this one, so let's just close out with that. So, a gypsy flame is on the hearth, sign of this carnival of mirth. Through the dun field and from the glade, flash merry folk in masquerade. It is the witching Halloween. Pale tapers glimmer in the sky. The dead and dying leaves go by. Dimly across the faded green, strange shadows, stranger shades are seen. It is the mystic Halloween. Soft gusts of love and memory beat at the heart reproachfully. The light that burns for those who die, we're flickering low. Let them flare high. It is the haunting Halloween. And this is from A.F. Murray in Harper's Weekly from October 30th, 1909. So cool. Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed that. If you did, please like this video, share, and subscribe to my channel. The links to leave me a donation or a tip are in the description below. If you're interested in booking private remote session with me, either Reiki or tarot, whatever, please email me at BellaImelda@yahoo.com. The menu and prices is in the description below as well. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. I love you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. I really hope this helped. I hope you feel better. I hope you feel into some of the things we talked about. And until next time, bye.